Alabama's latest win has come with a steep defensive cost. According to reports from both 247sports.com and al.com, Shaun Dion Hamilton sustained a fractured right kneecap during No. 2 Alabama's win over LSU Saturday night. Sources told the latter website that the senior linebacker underwent surgery Sunday to repair the damage. As a result of the injury, Hamilton will miss the remainder of the 2017 season, presumably including the postseason. And, as this is the player's final season of eligibility, the collegiate portion of his playing career would be over as well. As of this posting, the football program HASNT publicly addressed Hamilton's status moving forward. This would mark the second straight season in which injury ended Hamilton's season prematurely. During the SEC championship game last season, Hamilton suffered a torn ACL in the same knee and missed the Crimson Tide's playoff run. Hamilton has started every game the past 2 seasons in which he wasn't injured. This year, he's second on the team in tackles and was recently named a semi-finalist for the Butkus Award. Evan Berry returned to the football field this weekend for Tennessee, but now his season is officially done. The senior safety will miss the remainder of the season due to an injury that was re-aggravated from the season opener. Tennessee head coach Butch Jones confirmed the injury status for Berry during his Monday press conference. Just his will to get back and play his senior year, Jones said, reflecting on Berry's desire to play again in 2017. The want to be out there and help his football team win I think speaks volumes about him. Butch Vols All-America return specialist Evan Berry is out for the season. So his college career is done. Wes Rucker at Wes Rucker 247 November 6, 2017 Berry returned to the team to handle kickoff return duty this past weekend against Southern Miss. He left the game Saturday with an injury concern. Berry appeared in 3 games this season and returned 4 kickoffs for 143 yards. He ends his Tennessee career with 4 kickoff returns for touchdowns and 1 interception, which was good for a 100-yard touchdown in 2015. Follow at Kevin FB. There's a no leader in the Heisman Trophy clubhouse, according to Bovada. It should come as no surprise given how the weekend of college football just went down, but Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield has taken over the lead on the Heisman Trophy board from Bovada. He replaces Penn State running back Saquon Barkley as the favorite according to the sportsbook. Mayfield set a school record for passing yards in a shootout win over Oklahoma State. Mayfield has now led the Sooners to 2 good quality wins on the road against Ohio State and Oklahoma State and has the Sooners in position to make a push for the Big 12 championship and, potentially, into the college football playoff. He will be tested this week against TCU, but Mayfield's big day came at the best possible time to seize the Heisman Trophy momentum. Barkley saw his 15-game touchdown streak snapped in Penn State's loss at Michigan State, the second loss in a row for the Nittany Lions. Bryce Love of Stanford didn't have a big game in a loss against Washington State, and J.T. Barrett followed up a Heisman-worthy performance against Penn State with a dud against Iowa. Mayfield outdid Oklahoma State's Mason Rudolph, and Notre Dame running back Josh Adams was taken out of the game early after minimal production due to an injury concern against Wake Forest. As of Monday, the odds for the Heisman Trophy, which include last year's winner Lamar Jackson of Louisville, look like this. Latest Heisman odds from Bovada: Mayfield 175, Barkley 150, Adams 800, Love 1000, Rudolph 2800, Barrett 3300, Jackson 4000, Kevin McGuire at Kevin FB. November 6, 2017 The top spot in the Heisman odds has changed a couple of times this season, although Barkley has been holding to the top spot for a while. If Mayfield follows up last week with another good showing in a win against TCU, there will not be much standing in the way to slow him down in the final weeks of the season. Barkley will need some big performances against weaker opponents Rutgers, Nebraska, Maryland to stand a chance of catching him as Penn State is out of the playoff hunt. Follow at Kevin FB. The 2 top favorites to win the national championship this season reside in the SEC. According to the latest national title odds released by Bovada, Alabama and Georgia are the 2 top picks to win the national championship after a bit of a shake-up in the playoff outlook over the weekend. Alabama remains the favorite with 140 odds, meaning you would have to bet $140 in order to win $100 on a bet that Alabama will win it all this season. Georgia is the first team to offer a decent prize at 400 odds to win it all, followed by the defending national champion, Clemson 700. Clemson has the same odds as Notre Dame at this point, with Oklahoma coming in behind them at 1,400. Here are the updated Bovada odds for the national championship. They even include odds for UCF. Follow at Kevin Onk FB. The Big Ten lost a couple of legitimate playoff contenders over the weekend when Ohio State and Penn State each went down with their second loss of the season. That pins the Big Ten's playoff hopes on an undefeated Wisconsin that has struggled to gain respect so far due to a lackluster strength of schedule. That could change in the coming weeks with games against Michigan and Iowa and, potentially, the Big Ten championship game, but the Big Ten appears to be flirting with missing the playoff for the first time in the brief history of the college football playoff. Out west, the Pac-12 is hoping it can avoid missing the playoff for the second time. The conference is without an undefeated team and Washington is probably the last hope the conference has of making the playoff for a second straight season. As the only one-loss team in the Pac-12, the Huskies have a slim margin for error down the stretch, and they have some rocky games to come. The Huskies debuted at number 12 in the initial college football playoff rankings last week and were the highest-ranked team from the Pac-12 according to the selection committee. Being 12th is not the most ideal ranking, but far from impossible to reach the playoff if past years are any indication. But it is pretty clear Washington cannot afford a second loss this season. Washington has to go 40 in their next 4 games to make the playoff push, and it will be quite a challenging 4-game gauntlet to play through. It begins this Friday night with a road game against Stanford. The Cardinals have a Heisman Trophy candidate at running back with Bryce Love, who is looking to bounce back in a big way after he and the Cardinals were defeated on the road against Washington State. At 82 overall and 52 in Pac-12 play, those pesky Cougars could also pose a threat to Washington in the Apple Cup if Washington can survive at Stanford and then a home game against Utah. Get through those 3 games with wins, and Washington will have a chance to make their playoff case in the Pac-12 championship game against a USC team that could potentially enter the conference title game at 102. The Trojans would also be looking to make some noise, because after losing to Notre Dame in a blowout, the Trojans have taken control of the Pac-12 South. The Trojans were the preseason favorite in the Pac-12 and are on their way to at least playing for the conference title. If Washington ends the season at 121 with the Pac-12 championship, they will have the same record and resume they did a year ago. But the Huskies were the 4th and final team in last year, and this year the competition for the 4 spots may be even more competitive. To get to the playoff, Washington will very likely have to be 121. A second loss would knock them out of the running, and with that could erase the Pac-12 from the playoff entirely. Washington plays at Stanford on Friday, November 10th at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. It should be worth staying up to watch if you are on the East Coast. Follow at Kevin Onk FB.